Hello everyone, welcome to Good Journeys Tarot. I want to apologize about the live today. I don't know if it's YouTube or it's my computer, but every time I try to live stream, it takes forever to load, and then it, it doesn't seem to be working for people on the other end. I do appreciate Hemlock Grove Tarot hanging out today for a couple of minutes while I tried to figure out the sound issue. I did figure out the sound issue, and I will try again to go live at some point in the future. Um, but I may have to buy a new laptop first because it didn't seem to work today. But I am going to go ahead and do what I plan to do on my live today because I haven't posted a video for this week, and that is something that's been floating around in my planner for about a year now. I had seen someone do this tag, which is actually 3 years old. Arwen Lynch originally did it 3 years ago, and it's Tarot Tag 15. There are 15 questions about tarot, and it's just something I thought would be interesting to chat about on my first live, and I had never done it, and well, the live has fallen through, obviously, due to technical issues, but at least I know now what to do better in the future, like buy a better laptop to start with. So the first question was, what is your favorite deck? And um, I go back and forth, and usually it ends up being my most recent deck. But right now, I keep going back again and again to the Lightseers Tarot um, because none of these images repulse me. None of these images are difficult for me to understand. They're all gorgeous. I have no problem with any of the images. Most decks, there's a card or two that I just can't get over. And even though the rest of the deck is gorgeous, there's the Queen of Swords. One day I will get this right. I can't do this whole reverse thing on my computer for some reason. And the next question was, what tarot card do you think stands for you now? And I would say probably Temperance. Temperance is really, I think, where we all need to be right now with everything that's going on in the world and the changes in our lives. Everybody's had some kind of change, regardless of what it might be, to some extent. And so for me, that change has been that I'm working from home now. I really only got about an hour extra in my day as far as my commute and all of that kind of thing. And I'm using it to sleep because honestly, I don't normally fall asleep very easily. And so it's nice to actually wake up rested for a change versus when I'm commuting. Um, and and that is a beautiful Temperance card there. It's just about reaching balance. Especially when you're at home all day long, every day, and you're not able to go anywhere else, regardless of whether you're working on a normal work schedule from home or you don't have activities to do at home. There's a balance to be reached. You want to try to keep some sense of normality while at the same time adapting where necessary. And so I think that's where I am. I think that's where we all really should strive to be right now as far as dealing with current events. So the third question is, what tarot card stands for who you want to be? And I think just the very best representation of myself. And for me, that card would be the Queen of Swords, which I pulled out a moment ago and then immediately put back. Let's find her real quick. There she is. I just want to be very best possible me that I can be. And the Queen of Swords is my significator. And so I want to be able to reach that point where I am the best possible example of that, rather than being what is it? The queen is typically, perceived as kind of a itch. And so, but I don't think she has to be. I think that you can be a very um, law abiding person, as it may be. You can speak the truth clearly and concisely without being that type of person. And so that's really where I want to get. So next it said to draw a card that tells you what the universe wants you to do right now. So basically it's asking me to, give you my interpretation of a card. So I'm going to use the Light Seers. I am a riffle shuffler because I've never gotten the overhand thing. It just doesn't work for me for some reason. I'm going to cut the cards. And the card that we're drawing right now is the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is, of course, our victory card. And this is actually a good representation of victory. And I guess, I think that what the universe is trying to tell me right now is that I am really probably at the best possible point in my life. Things are just really come together for me. And while this virus has taken me for a little bit of a spin, and that I'm not getting to do some things I planned to do this year, I couldn't ask to be at a better place with my job or with my bills or any of that right now. And I think once this virus passes that I'll be able to get back to some of the things that I had hoped to do for self-improvement this year. But overall, I think, success is happening for me at the moment. So, despite everything. Number 5 is, do you have any cards you must love in a tarot deck? So, typically, I will go through the major arcana. If the majority of the major arcana are appealing to me, then I am happy. Now, I do always look at the star card in every deck, and because I like to see what it is. I usually look at the Queen of Swords because that is my significator, but if a major arcana card is just really horrible, and it's just one or two, then I'm okay with the deck usually. But if it's if I can't relate to the majority of the major arcana in a deck, then I generally will pass on it. Here is this star from this deck. That's one of the cards that I always look at, and I have to like that card. Just as much as the sun and the moon. For some reason, the astrological cards are the ones that are astronomical cards, I guess would be the right term there, but are the ones that I really am drawn to when I'm looking for a deck. So why tarot versus any other system? Basically because it's structured. I like structure. I don't want to work with ambiguity. And the way the tarot is structured, it's easier to learn. Regardless of what deck I pick up, if I pick up a 78 card deck that's based on the RWS or the Thoth, or even on the Tarot de Marseille, I can read that deck because it's structured the same way and the cards have the same meaning even if the images are slightly different, at least the majority of the time. I mean, the only Oracle deck that I ever found that I liked was the Creatures of the Moon Oracle deck, which I've talked about several times on my channel. It actually has a structure which follows the cycles of the moon. And where's that page? There we go. And in addition to following the phases of the moon, it associates with creatures. There we go. There's a creature. And I love this deck. But the reason I chose tarot is because of that structure. And Oracle has been harder for me to find decks that have a structure to them that I can relate to that way. And I've talked about that before. Um, Number 7 is, what is the first book you remember reading about the tarot? So that was actually Joan Bunning's book, Learning the Tarot. You can see this book is not very worn. And that's because I originally read all of this content on her website. Um, I believe it's learntarot.com. And it was, she made it all available. So I originally read it there. And then I bought the book later to have on my shelf. And so that was the first one. It's really great for meanings and basic understanding of tarot and structure. And, it has, both. Um, it also talks about cards that are opposing or reinforcing and that type of thing. So, yeah, I found it very helpful when I was learning. And the fact that she had the lessons on her website and you could just go through it at your leisure was really great when I first started learning the tarot. Number 8, what tarot person would you like to sit down with and talk about tarot? So, I think I would probably want to talk with someone who I haven't read all of their, like, a bunch of books by them or seen them on a lot of videos or that type of thing. So, like, one of the people that I want to sometime meet and thought I would be meeting this year at Reader Studio is Arwen Lynch. I'm a big fan of several tarot writers, but I have read their blogs and I've read their books and I've watched their YouTube videos and gotten so much. Arwen's one of those people that, like, I followed on Facebook some, but I've not really spent a lot of time with her, as it were, talking about tarot or studying tarot from her perspective, or that type of thing. And so I think she would be an interesting person to sit down with and talk tarot. So number 9 is, tell me one YouTube channel you watch and love. So I'm going to tell you 2 because there's 2 different types of YouTube channels out there. There are those that are for tarot collectors that basically focus on talking about decks and showing decks and building community with people who enjoy tarot, that type of thing. And that would be the Hermit's Cave. I have met a lot of people through the Hermit's Cave, and particularly Kelly Bear. I love her. She's great. And then the other type of YouTube video that I enjoy is educational, instructional stuff. And Benabelle Wynn just does an excellent job with that. If you've never seen her channel, go back and watch her videos, her prior videos. Right now, her content's a little sporadic. I know she's working on some projects and has been changing directions a little bit over the last several months. So it's not been as consistent as it used to be, but she still has just a treasure trove of information out there from her previous videos. And one of the things that she does, which I've always enjoyed, is she does what she calls Sightsee the Tarot, and she goes through readings from various books, and even from decks, books that came with decks, and does the readings and walks you through them, and those are really fun. I enjoy those a lot. Number 10, how many tarot decks do you have? So, last count, I had around mid-30s, and I right now probably have 5 or 6 that are on Kickstarter or crowdfunding that are arriving at different points this year. So, so really it'll end up being probably end up with about 50 decks by the end of the year. But I'm trying not to buy new decks. One of the things that I'm doing is I'm only doing crowdfunding for decks because this year. I'm not purchasing any mass-produced decks, really. I did purchase one, which was a pre-order, and we'll talk about that when it arrives. But let's see, 11. Do you mix tarot and oracle when you read? From time to time. Not always, but occasionally I will. I do a lot with my Spirit Keepers Tarot, and I do also, when I'm doing my weekly readings, usually I'll have an oracle card with my weekly reading. So, let's see. 12. Have you ever created your own tarot card or deck? So, you've probably seen some of mine on here already. I've been working on a deck, which I'm 2/3 of the way done with now, called Photo of the Day Tarot. And I'm going to see if I can show this. So you'll see I've taken photos and manipulated them a little bit and put the words on there. But they're just photos from my life. And they may not come across great on here, but you'll get the idea. These are all on my Instagram, along with some other drawings that I've done for tarot cards that you might be interested in if you're interested in that kind of thing. That's myself and my great-grandmother and the Ten of Cups there. So I'm hoping to finish this deck this year and get a copy printed for me. It's really just for me because it's my personal photos. Some of them I created for cards in the deck, and some of them are photos that I already had that I felt fit the deck. And so I'm continuously working on that project. I just finished the Eight of Pentacles, and I don't think I've posted it yet on Instagram, so I may drop that down today if anybody's interested in seeing it. And again, I have some drawings of cards as well on my Instagram. Number 13. Do you read for yourself? Well, primarily that's who I read for. I do read for other people when I have opportunity, and I have been trying to find some events that I can read at, and as well as do some online reading for people. So absolutely, that's how I started. It's part of my spiritual practice, so that's how I got into tarot to begin with. 14, what are your favorite questions to be asked by querents? So I can tell you easily my least favorite questions, and those are the questions about romance. I much prefer the type of questions that are about personal development and growth. Asking, how they improve an area of their life, or what they need to know about an area of their life so that they can improve it, that type of thing. I'm not a predictive reader. I try to read more on a personal development, spiritual growth type of reading, to assist people with developing themselves and making good decisions. Decision making is definitely a big piece of the types of questions that I like. 15, what's the craziest thing that has happened to you during a reading? I don't know that I've had anything crazy. I mean, I've had my dog jump in my lap in the middle of a reading. When I was doing one, at home, and I had to pick my cards up off the ground, off the floor. But typically, nothing unusual happens as far as readings go. I am a pretty meticulous type of person, an organized type of person, so I have things just so, and it's only when that little bit of chaos enters the scene, like my cat walking across my reading or my dog jumping in my lap, that I might, throw cards or something. But yeah, so those were just some things that I thought I might talk about today. But again, I do apologize for those who were looking forward to the live. And I hope that I will get to start doing some of those soon. But I wanted to at least do a quick video to drop on today and thank those who did come out and talk about some of the things that I had planned to chat about. I think probably would have talked about some other things in the live, but I think I'm just going to stick to the topic at hand for this video. So I hope everybody is staying safe and trying to find some joy in their day. So this is Rosemary. Until next time, good journeys.